You're not gonna believe what I'm about to tell you. I don't blame you though, I wouldn't believe me either. I'm just asking that you please listen. When I was younger, I only had Mario Party 6 and Mario Party 9, but they were my favorite games. I couldn't get any more games in this series because they were hard to find, but I always wanted them. After finally getting the game I wanted though, I wish I had never gotten it at all. Back in 2016, I used to check GameStop all of the time, but they never seemed to have what I was looking for. The workers there were really nice and knew how much I wanted those games and promised to let me know whenever they would get a Mario Party game. One day in September of that year, I went to GameStop and one of the workers, Ronnie, called me over to the desk. He told me that he had good news. He'd finally gotten a Mario Party game for sale. A smile instantly formed on my face. He told me they had just gotten a copy of Mario Party 2. "Thank you so much," I said excitedly. He told me I was welcome and pointed to a shelf across the store where the game was. I passed a man and his son who were talking about some app that was coming out the next day, and I made my way back to the shelf. The game was in perfect condition, and for a bargain too. I looked at the art of Mario wearing his cowboy hat and became overjoyed. But just as I went to ask Ronnie for the game, I saw the family at the counter and I heard them ask for the game. My heart sank. The man told Ronnie it was for his son. It was going to be his first Mario Party game. Ronnie looked back at me and then told them someone was already going to purchase the game. I smiled again, but then I saw the boy. He looked sad. His dad ruffled his hair and said, "Hey, maybe next year, Dane. We'll find you another game." His son then made a depressed Roblox oof sound and looked down. My smile faded. I looked at the shelf and then at Ronnie and said that it's okay, they can have it. Ronnie looked surprised and asked if I was sure. I told him I was. The kid looked happy again, and he had a big smile on his face. His dad thanked me and bought the game. The son said that this was very r/poggers and default Fortnite danced out of the building. I immediately regretted my decision. Ronnie told me that what I did was very kind and he knew how much I wanted that game. I thanked him with a sigh. He saw I was bummed and said, "Hey, don't tell anyone I told you this, but we have another copy of the game in the back. We got it a few weeks ago and we were told not to sell it." I looked up, surprised. The condition doesn't look great and there are some weird doodles all over the cover of it, but if you want it, I'll give it to you and say it got lost in storage. On the house. I gladly accepted the offer as any kid would, but this was the worst mistake I ever made. He went to the back for a few minutes and came back with the N64 cartridge. He was certainly right about the cover art. Someone took a Sharpie and drew all over it. Mario's face was completely blacked out and someone drew what looked like Wario's face over it in white. The M in Mario's cowboy hat was also blacked out and was replaced with a white W. Even the title was blacked out and changed from Mario Party 2 to Wario Party. Instead of the 2 being in the title, what looked like a weird music note took its spot. Even the E rating was replaced by that same note. I felt a strange chill once I touched it. Something definitely wasn't right, but I shrugged off my suspicions. Besides the weird doodles, it was still the game I wanted the most. How could I turn it down? It was free after all. I thanked him and left. It started raining rather quickly, so I hurried to my mom's car in the parking lot. While I was moving though, the game got touched by the rain and shocked me. It hurt and I felt odd afterwards. I got into my mom's car and I told her I got the game. She was so happy for me because she knew how much I wanted it. I had a strange craving for coffee, so I asked my mom if we can go to a Starbucks before we got back. Once we got back to the house, it was dark and the storm was getting worse. I told my dad that I got the game and he, like my mom, was really happy for me. He set up his old N64, but just as I was about to put the game in, he looked at the clock and saw that it was getting late. He said that was a school night and that I needed to go to bed. I argued a bit and asked for just one game, but he said no, and that was too late to play a whole 20-turn game. He sent me to bed. I actually tried going to sleep that night, but I couldn't. I thought it was the thunder keeping me up, but now I know it wasn't. That game kept me up. It was all I could think about. Eventually, I looked at my alarm clock. It was 1:46 in the morning, and I didn't even feel tired. I got out of bed and snuck downstairs to the TV. I looked at the N64, then at the graffiti-covered cartridge in my hand. I put the game into the system, but just as I did, there was a loud strike of lightning that took out the power for a few minutes in the house. I won't lie, it scared me a bit. This is when things got really strange. I turned on the N64 and the TV went to static, but I hadn't turned on the TV. The static then started going crazy, making weird, almost aggressive patterns, as if it were alive. Then blue and red light poured out of the screen with the static storm, and it formed the same music note that was on the game cartridge. It felt like it was staring down at me, malevolently. I was afraid. I didn't know what was happening. The static sound kept getting louder and louder, and the static raged harder and harder until it stopped. The screen went to black. There was no more noise. It all died. The N64 logo faded in as it normally did with the opening credits. I was terrified. I wanted to run back to bed and escape this nightmare and hope it was just a dream. But something in me told me that I needed to stay. I crawled back onto the couch and grabbed the controller as I looked back to the TV. The opening cinematic started and played as it normally did. The curtains opened and the Mario Land tile dropped in front of Mario and his friends. Then Toad said that there was someone that didn't favor the name Mario Land, and Wario lowered from the ceiling. He and Mario argued and Luigi joined just as he was supposed to, and Wario shoulder checked both of them onto the ground. But then the game froze right as they hit the ground. I sat there for a minute and nothing happened. I sighed and got up to turn off the game, but just as I was about to, I could have sworn I saw Wario move to stare at me for a millisecond, like he was watching what I was about to do. The game cut to the title screen and the music played. I thought I was just seeing things, but it all felt so real. I sat back on the couch and pressed the start button, going to the map selection screen. I clicked Spaceland and zoomed in on Toad, who changed into a wizard's costume with a broom. I just assumed that was another glitch. After all, this wasn't the first I'd seen that night. It certainly wouldn't be the last. When I got to select my character, the character list was different. Wario was the first character, and Mario was where Wario was supposed to be. Wario had a description next to his name too. Have a rotten day. I moved the cursor over the other characters and their descriptions were blank. I chose Yoshi to play as and I selected Mario, Luigi, and Donkey Kong to be the computer players. The jubilant music cut out then and a red slash appeared over Yoshi and Peach's pictures. The characters ran onto the screen following Toad, but instead of moving on to the next step, Toad laughed, with an audio track and everything. The stage slanted up and all the characters fell off screen. Everything faded to black. This wasn't right. There was a flash of white light and the Horrorland logo appeared. I didn't pick this map. The characters ran on screen as they normally did, going to the other side out of view to come back in their costume, but they didn't. They came back dressed normally, but there was a difference. Yoshi wasn't on screen. Wario took his place. Mario, Luigi, and Donkey Kong all looked back from where they just came as if they were looking for their friend. Wario was the only one facing forward. The screen burst into static and faded into all the characters standing together. All of them looked afraid except for Wario. He was smiling. I recognized this as the part where Toad introduced the stage and explained what Bowser was doing, except Toad wasn't anywhere to be found. Wario stepped forward and said, "Welcome to Wario Party. You're going to have a rotten day. Last one standing wins." The characters behind Wario all did their defeat animations as a giant sign came down. Normally this would have Bowser's face on it, but Wario's face was on it. He was holding that strange music note in what looked like a rectangular box. Then the audio clip of Wario saying, "I'm gonna win," played. The screen faded to black and into the game. The Horrorland's music began to play, but it sounded creepier, as if it were being played from an old music box. Wario was first, and he was my character. I got chills. This was all too weird, but that feeling to see things through lingered powerfully. I hit the dice block and rolled a 10, landing on a blue space. The other characters rolled a 1, which was a blue space, but when they landed on it, it became a red space, and they each lost 6 coins. Then the minigame started. It was Bowser's Big Blast. For those that don't know, this is a turn-based minigame. Players switch off pushing detonators. If they hit a live detonator, the big bomb behind them would explode, taking them out of the minigame. Then the cycle continues. Last one standing wins. The game started, and I went first. I pushed the blue detonator and nothing happened. Donkey Kong was up next. He reared the yellow detonator and said, "These are some pretty cool bananas." He hit it and Bowser's eyes rolled back, starting the countdown at 3, but the bomb exploded then and sent him flying off screen. Weirdly, the minigame ended there though. It didn't say anyone won either. Instead, it said that Donkey Kong lost. The ranking appeared on screen that showed all the players, their coins, and their stars. The Donkey Kong icon was black and white, and he looked defeated. A red slash appeared over it, like the ones over Peach and Yoshi from earlier, but this was darker, more like a crimson. The screen said that it was Wario's turn, but before letting me hit the dice block, Wario did his victory animation dance. I rolled a 10 again, landing on another blue space. Donkey Kong was supposed to go next, but he was lying on the ground, still in that red space. Static flooded the screen and it cut to Luigi's turn. He and Mario both rolled ones and landed on a blue space, which turned red, and they lost coins. The minigame selector appeared, and the only option available was Bowser's Big Blast. The minigame started again. DK was nowhere to be seen. Luigi was first to go. He had the green detonator. The bomb counted down from 3 to 2 and then exploded, sending Luigi off screen. The game said Luigi lost and then cut to the rankings. Wario, was at the top of the list still, but Luigi was at the bottom, just above Donkey Kong. His icon was also black and white, and he looked scared. A crimson slash appeared over him. This was getting too creepy. I wanted to leave. This wasn't normal, and it wasn't some glitch either. Something sinister was going on, and I just wanted to leave like none of this ever happened. I got up to turn off the power, but an overwhelming urge stopped me. There was a great temptation in my mind telling me to just finish the game. My will wasn't strong enough to stop it, and I continued. It was Wario's turn. Wario did a victory dance again, but this was different. He brought one of his arms to his chest and started moving them all over the place. The music even changed a bit too. There were weird bass boosts thrown in. Wario hit the dice block without me even pressing the button, and he got a 49. He didn't use any items or anything. Even if he did, he couldn't have gotten a number that high. Wario just teleported to the star space and bought a star from Toad, except Toad didn't give him a star. Toad gave him a music note, the same one that was on the box, but this time in full color. It was white with a weird red and blue glow around it. When Wario got it, he did the same dance he did seconds ago, but it was more fluid. He was busting it down. The music changed more too, almost to a different sounding song. There were more of these bass boosts, and it even sounded like there was a voice thrown in too. This was beyond weird. Wario said, "This is where the fun begins." The minigame selector appeared, cutting off Mario's turn, and once again only displayed Bowser's Big Blast. The minigame started and it was just Mario and Wario, but this time was different. Wario was already standing on the platform. He and the Bowser Bomb both had that twisted note in their eyes. Wario said, "Obey Wario. Destroy Mario." He glitched off the platform and appeared behind Mario. Mario ran up to the detonator platform. There was only one choice left, the red detonator. He pressed it and the Bowser Bomb's eyes ticked back and counted down to 1. Each number had that weird red and blue glow to it that the note had. It sounded like it was actually saying tick and tock when it counted down. And once it ticked past 1, the bomb exploded, sending Mario flying off screen. The game said, "Mario lost." I got chills. I knew what it meant. It meant that Mario died. It was Wario's turn again. All of the other character icons were black and white and had that crimson slash over them. Something was different though. Wario now had an item. Wario did the same dance and the music twisted even more. It sounded like this weird new song. It said a word, I couldn't quite make it out. Wario danced, moving his arms all over the place. A glove appeared, grabbing the item Wario had. It was that same music note. It dropped it down to Wario, who caught it while dancing. He raised the note above his head. It radiated that red and blue light. Wario stopped dancing, faced forward and said, "Your friends are dead. There's one player left." I clicked the A button and he said, "You're gonna have a rotten day." He started laughing as the music started playing again, and the light from the note grew more powerful. It expanded across the screen, but it was interrupted by a loud thunder. It made the power go out again, and the house seemed to shake. The TV was turned off. I sighed as I thought the madness was finally over. But then, as the sound of the storm faded, I heard something. It was coming from the kitchen. I turned and I saw a blue glow radiating from it. I should have just went to bed or called the police or something, but my curiosity got the better of me. The closer I got to the kitchen, the clearer the noise became. It was music. That same song from the game, but it was devoid completely of the Horrorland theme. I peered into the kitchen and I saw Wario dancing. He was moving his arms in all sorts of weird ways. It seemed like he was recording himself on a phone that was standing against the Starbucks coffee. I stumbled back in fear of what was happening. Wario snapped his gaze to me and said, "What do you think of my renegade?" And the yellow-garbed man started dancing at me menacingly. As he approached, I screamed. His dance moves were so aggressive. I started moving backwards, away from him, but he kept growing closer, constantly dancing. I punched him in the face, as hard as I could, but barely did anything to him. He shrugged it off, and while still dancing, he said, "Is that the best you got?" He grew close, and one of his flailing arms smacked me in the chest. It hurt. Badly. I thought I might have broken something. I ran past him as fast as I could and succeeded. But it was almost like he let me. I ran upstairs to my bathroom and locked the door. I looked around for anything I could use as a weapon, but the doorknob jiggled as I tried. Wario said,
"Hey, would you hurry it up in there? That Starbucks pumpkin spice cappuccino latte isn't sitting so well."
I scrambled for something, anything, but I found nothing useful. Wario's shoulder bashed the door in and boomed,
"What's poppin'?"
as the music started blasting again. It's a shame I wet myself so close to the toilet. Any last words? Wario asked with a big smile as he started doing the renegade. You record your dances, right? I blurted out.
"Yeah, what about it?"
I can help you. I'll record a video for you. Then you can kill me.
I don't know. I'm quirky. I make great dancing videos without any help. I'm not like the other Mario characters.
Okay, then hear me out. What if you did a video standing in water? You can use my bath. That's quirky. I don't think people spend their time doing that.
Oh, okay. You make a good offer, kid. Fine. You can record the video and then I'll kill you.
I let out a sigh of relief and I started filling up the bath. While we waited, Wario turned to me and said,
"Here, we're gonna do a video together. It'll be my first collab with a living person."
He threw the phone on my bathroom counter and started dancing to the music.
"Join in!"
he ordered. I tried to dance with him, but I had no clue what was going on and it showed.
"Jeez, you stink!"
He grabbed his phone and typed,
"This guy sucks. It's cool though, about to kill him. Haha, LMAO.
The water finally filled up in the tub and he got in. I held the phone up to record him.
"You better get my angles right, kid. I got to show off my natural beauty to my viewers."
The music started and he began to dance. This is what I was hoping for. While he was distracted, I lunged for the toaster that I keep by my bathtub for my morning toast and I threw it in the water. Electricity shot everywhere as the music became bass boosted. Wario started spazzing like he was from a cartoon and shouted, "Oh my god, wah," and he sank in the water and died. I gave another big sigh of relief and turned to leave, but I slipped on a piece of buttered toast that I had left there on the floor and fell into the bathtub. And then I died. The end.
What's poppin'?
Go. Got one. Go.